Hello. We are going to have an immensely relaxing day today. If any of you are just joining us sort of from the wilds of the internet, hello. This is not just a stream about CSS and web development, but this is actually part of a free web development bootcamp that Class Central's put together. If you're not part of the course, not a problem. You're still welcome. You can join us much more formally at classcentral.com. Well, actually, it's down there slash cohorts slash webdev bootcamp fall 2020. But at the same time, it's no big deal. Everything is chill. Everything is easy. Today, I am exceptionally excited because we're going to be talking about CSS and art and web development and art. And when we first started the bootcamp, we asked each other a bunch of questions about what do you want to do? And some of you wanted to help out and mentor, and that was so cool. Some of you were really interested in getting a job in web development. That's terribly impressive. Some of you were interested in doing your own job better, making your own websites. But a couple of you were saying, hey, I want to make weird art. Let's talk about weird art. So today for our lessons, we're going to be building a Rothko painting. Okay. You might say, oh, Jess, is that the weird art we're going to be doing? That's the weird art we're going to be doing. But I thought before we got started, we could take a look at other art that people have made only with HTML and CSS. And the examples I'm going to show you don't have a lot of HTML in it. I got all of the artists' permission before I showed them to you. I'm not just... Can you all see this okay? So we've got a rectangle with some clouds and a moon and a planet, and then this shooting star that intermittently comes across. And this is a tool called CodePen, which I think is really, really nice. I'm going to get rid of the JavaScript. I don't have anything, we don't dislike JavaScript, but, minimize. There's no JavaScript we're looking at here. Now let's go ahead and make this just a little bit bigger. We see a bunch of HTML, we see a bunch of CSS, but when we look at our HTML, it's all divs. Oh gosh, let me go ahead and drop this to y'all. I'm rubbish. You could take a look at your own time and double check that I'm not lying to you. This is from Braden Coyer. And Braden, if you look at this HTML, it's divs and classes. And all the way down, div. These are only conceptual boxes in the HTML. And all of the art is happening over here. Oh, I see some CSS classes. I see some CSS. Oh, I see a bunch of exciting things happening. I want to go ahead and say what we're going to do today is not this fancy. And you could go ahead and give me 6 years. I don't think I could personally make anything this fancy. Here's what I thought was really cool as well from Tamani Afif. And I thought these were rad because look at these. These are proper drawings, aren't they? This is Demon Slayer. Very cool. If anybody else are anime or manga fans. And we've just got more and more anime. Attack on Titan, I believe. Oh, I know that's famous, but I don't know it. But here we're seeing CSS animations. This is all art. Let me go ahead and give you this one as well so y'all can play with it. I'm going to say these are absolute artists. These are folks who are fantastic at this. I don't expect any of y'all to be this good right out of the box. And really, click that on. Oh, interactive CSS. That's unnecessary. Nobody needs to be that good. Look at all. Okay, let's get one more. Oh, this website's too good. Let's reload this one because this is such a great website. Some of you might be very young, so that's not going to feel very like the sort of holding pattern that old TVs used to have. Look at these. Look at this Polaroid camera. Let's look at the code. Oh, we're seeing CodePen again. And our HTML. Look at that. It's just divs again. Ooh. And the CSS. Let's go ahead and give you this one. Is where all the magic happens. And the big thing I want to stress is I'm not trying to imply, oh, you need to do all of this. You need to be a fantastic artist. No, no, no. I'm not a fantastic artist. I promise I'm never going to be. Well, not in CSS anyway. But I just want to be like, oh, hey, there's weird, cool stuff. And these are photorealistic. These look like photos. Oh, look at with a lens flare in the camera. Oof, oof. That Nintendo Switch is absolutely too good. That's unreasonable. I don't expect any of us to necessarily, unless we put in the time, get incredibly good at CSS drawings and CSS art. But I just wanted to be like, oh, hey, these are conceptually possible. Yeah. There's no expectation to do this, especially not while y'all are new. But you can do weird, baffling, unexpected things. But there's no hurry to. We're going to go ahead and start our project, which is going to be a little bit more scope down, but we're still going to be using CSS and the box model. Every element we're playing with is a conceptual. I always used to say imaginary, but y'all pointed out that imaginary wasn't very good. Conceptual, a theoretical, if you will, rectangle. So let's start our theoretical rectangles. Ooh, and it looks like what we're gonna get is this. I wonder if it's supposed to be blurry. A box in a box on top of a box on top of a box in a white box. Ooh, I think that's probably gonna be some padding in a black box. Okay, we can do this. Well, I hope we can do this. Okay, what we're going to do is, do you know what? I might cheat. I might skip ahead a little bit. Yeah. So we've got basic HTML ones. We've done this before. We've done this a ton of times before. So I'm going to skip that. Well, let's come into number 4. Oh no. Oh no. That skipped too far. How about 3? Yay. We shouldn't skip too far. Let's come into number 2. No, let's come into number 3. This is saying, hey, link to this image we know how to do, UTF-8, title element. Our title is going to be Rothko painting. We're going to skip these just so we can focus on the stuff that's new. I really want y'all to actually do these in your own time, and you'll need to do them to get the little ticky-tickies. But we're going to skip these just so we can start talking about the conceptual part. And y'all may notice that I'm always super delighted to talk to you about the philosophy behind this. And this is what we've been talking about, and we'll keep talking about that. Every HTML element is a box. Okay. A box has height, a box has content, so what's in the box? The box has width. Yeah. So we're going to change the image from this one they've given us here to this one given us here. So what we're looking at in this first image is, hey, here are some different elements, some conceptual boxes. I bet this one's going to teach us something else about those conceptual. Hey, so here's what we've got. So each of our elements has content, the stuff that goes in it. And that's easiest to see in a div because the div is the div is an empty conceptual box until you put something in it. If there's no content, your div, your element will have no height and width. Woof. The padding, and remember, think about padding as if you're a bear or a bunny and you need to sleep through the winter, you're going to have some extra snacks to build up some padding on the inside. That is the space that you give an element inside it. Whereas the margin is the stuff outside. And here we've got a border. This is a dotted or a solid or an invisible, but it's a line that traces around your element. And I know border's brand new, but I bet we're going to be doing this again and again. Yeah. So let's go ahead and bop on. What? The code passes. I mean, I expected it to. That's fine. So the content is surrounded by a space called padding. Do you know what? They say bubble wrap instead. That's much more grown up than a chubby bear's extra winter padding. Okay, so let's think of a cardboard box, and the padding is the foam wrap that keeps it safe. Let's go ahead and look at another model, and you all fuss at me if you have any questions as we go. Okay, so the padding is inside to keep it safe. That's cool. We're cool. Everything's cool. And even if it's not, it can't hurt us. Oh, heck, what have I? Have I done something wrong? Oh, nope, it's expanded the image. But here, this orange it's given us is saying, hey, padding's on the inside. That's that extra padding to keep something safe. Whereas the margin's on the outside. Okay, cool, cool. We've gone over this a couple times. This feels a little bit like review. Margins this outside bit. And here, the bottom element. Oh, let's scroll down. We've got a bunch of different things going on. The bottom element here has a larger top margin, which means it's pushed further down the page. Okay. When I give something more space at the top, it pushes my element down. And this is going to feel weird. Oh, can we not see the whole screen? I'm so sorry we can't really see the whole screen at once. Just do it. Well, if I zoom well out, don't worry, I'll zoom back in before we start doing the code part. There we go. Sorry about that. So here at the bottom one, the red box we can see here. Let's make you a bit bigger. We don't need the instrument. That did nothing. The red box we have here has more space, red space at the top, more margin. But because it's got more margin at the top, it's sort of pushed the content down a little bit. Often we'll see margins sort of conceptually push things because we've given it more space on the outside, which gives the content here a little nudge down. Okay, that's weird. Somebody's pointing out that they find this confusing. And I hate to say, oh, it'll make more sense when you're older, because we hear that our whole lives. But this is one of the things where the more you play with it, the more you touch it, the less weird it feels. So here we've got sort of this blue box as one of our elements. Here's the padding around our element. Yellow is a border. And the margin is the extra space on the outside we've specified. Yeah. Oh gosh, we've got somebody who's just joined us for the first time, who's a teacher who wants to join web development. I used to be a teacher. Come on in, it's fine. Everything's going to be fine. So Dahlia makes a good point. Says, hey, could we say the margin is the space between the border and the body tag? So not necessarily the body here, sort of the parent element, what it's sitting in. And the padding is the space between the content and the border. So almost, but not quite. The border gets traced around the element. So here, the border has come around the padding, around that extra space. This is still going to feel weird. How about we go ahead and we start playing with these boxes? Because me saying, oh, conceptually it's like this. Oh, it's not going to make any sense until we touch it. And do you know what? Even if it doesn't make sense at the end of today, that is not a big deal. Even if it doesn't make sense for 6 months or 12, not 12, you'll get it before then. We're going to do another piece of art after this. Remember that when we don't know what's going on, and this is not just I don't know a word or I don't know what element to use, but it can be, hey, oh, do you all want a very weird tech term? Oh gosh, and if you all have had if you've heard any tech words that you just don't understand what they are, throw them in the chat and we'll take a look at them as we go. And I'm going to tell you about the word grok. And that's a tech term to understand something. When I used to see the word grok, I just, what? And here, oh, I just don't grok it. Tech's so weird. And it's not going to be something that feels super normal and chill to most people. Oh, do you know what? Platypus is passing on some bad advice, but I think this is good bad advice. To quote the bad advice my math teacher in high school gave, you don't need to understand it, just do it. I think that's the same bad advice I gave. But just keep doing it. The understanding will come in time. Oh, remove the image screen element. Oh, yeah, I'm going to remove you. Be cool. Oh, What? Mal is saying, oh, do you know what? Grok as a term comes from Highland, stranger in a strange land. Does it? I'm not doubting you. That's just really cool. So here it's just saying, so the boot camp's always free, the course is always free. But this is just saying, hey, Free Code Camp is a separate nonprofit. And if you want, if you feel like it, if you have the spare money, don't you spend money you don't have. You can donate if you want to. We zoomed way out. We're going to zoom. Oof, I know it's so dizzying to zoom in and out. We're going to zoom way back in. We are going to start making some philosophical boxes. And if nothing else, well, let's make you a little bit bigger. If nothing else, I think that what you will understand by the end of this course is that, you know what? I do believe, Jess, when I say everything's a box. Oh gosh, yeah. I did not know that Stranger in a Strange Land was the first time that they said that. I haven't read that in ages. Maybe we should have a book club after the boot camp is done. So we're making a div. We're making one of these conceptual boxes. And you might say, and we're going to set the class here to canvas. Okay, and we've done this before. And remember a class is like a club that we're going to put some of our elements in. We're going to check our code. We've got that green stripe, and that green stripe suggests that everything's fine. And you might see that I made a div and not a single dang thing happened. And that's for two different reasons here. The first is remember that until you put content inside a div, it's invisible. There's no height, there's no width, there's no content, there's nothing to see. But at the same time, I don't have any CSS. I don't have, without height or width or something in it, I don't have a background color. So this is a box of nothing. And one thing we've got to do is we've got to link our style sheet. Our style sheet doesn't exist yet. You'll see at the top. I bet after we link it, Free Code Camp's going to give it to me. Link, and I'm going to say the rel is a style sheet. That's chill. That's chill. And we're going to set it the ref. And remember, a ref is like when you throw an anchor to somewhere else and the chain connects them. Oh, somebody's saying this div is shy. Oh, I am very, very here for personifying HTML elements. Yeah. I tend to think of them as like very, very calm friends who betray me at every turn. So styles. Here we see that there's a dot slash here. I think it's going to work without it. Yeah. So you can add that dot and slash if you really want to, but you don't have to. It'll work anyway. Ooh, so here it says, look, even though your div has no text, it's still being treated as a box with content. Let's go ahead and set its width. Let's give it some space. Yeah. Ooh, while I'm doing this, what do you think is going to happen when I give it some width? What do you think we're going to see in the preview? Because what I'm going to do is and remember, a class selector starts with a dot. And the club this is in is the Canvas Club. Oh, green horse after my own. I think you're absolutely correct. Nothing. I think we're going to add some width to this box, this imaginary box. And I don't think it's going to do any. Why not? Why aren't we going to see anything in this preview? Dahlia's saying, look, we're not going to have anything. Let's get our curly babies out. You probably don't want to say curly brackets in a. Michael's suggesting maybe we see nothing because there's no height. But I think we can add height as well, and we won't see anything. So here you want to say 300. We're going to set a width to 500 pixels. Just like y'all said, oh, Dahlia, you're getting way ahead of me. So here, okay, so y'all are saying that if I had some height, oh, heck, that's completely wrong. We're going to see it. I think that's still, I think we're still not going to, and that's me cheating because I've done all these courses. But why? I've given it width and I've given it height. Why can I still not see anything? And Dahlia's given me, oh, cool. We've got some different solutions. And I love this. This is, so when you don't know what's going on, you can ask somebody. But if it's on a live stream, you're usually going to have to ask me. And I'm a little bit patiently rubbish. You can look it up. Ooh, look at that. Open the inspector. I love that. So in the course, we say, ask somebody, cool, look it up, or get weird. And y'all have given me a bunch of different ways to get weird that we can see this div. Just give me a background color. Give me a border. Give me a background color. And we could do that. Let's try a background color first, because we've done that before. Oof, look at that American spelling always. And remember, there's immediately perfect pink. If I like, you knew I was going to make it pink. Okay. This is chill. So there was no content at first. Somebody's saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm French." I'd be like, "No, that's a delight." I think with this boot camp, we've got folks from all over the world, and it's dazzling. So here, we gave it width and we saw nothing. We gave it height and we saw nothing because it was just an invisible box, just an invisible box. But as soon as we gave it some background color, we really got going. You just wanted some width, so let's keep going. I bet you're going to give me height. We got this. We're inside our wiggly babies for canvas. Height, and we're going to set that equal to 600 pixels. Remember that pixels are an absolute value. A pixel is always a pixel, is always a pixel. But there were a bunch of different types of CSS units of measurement, like a rem or a percent, that are responsive, that change with the size of your viewport. Y'all are so patient with me just forgetting all. Okay, and hear exactly what y'all have been yelling. Say, hey, let's give me a background color. And we're still inside our class selector. We're still inside our curly babies, and we're going to set our background color. We're going to set that to, is anybody better at hex codes than I am? And can you guess what color this is? So I'm confused to learn them. D4D0F. Oh, I don't think that's the color we're going to land on. All right. Oh, we've got a very, very rich, very burgundy sort of thing going on. Okay, so hashtag or hash 4D0F00 is a terribly delightful burgundy. Okay, we're going to go on to our next challenge. Let's keep bopping along. Okay, here we're going to go ahead and make a frame. Still chill, nothing bad is happening. Everything's easy. Oh, and Rami is saying like, "Hey, you know what? This feels a little overwhelming. Like we need some space, right? This burgundy's nice, but it's just a big old block of burgundy, isn't it?" Oh, do you know what? And one thing I really want to stress about hex codes is you never have to learn them all. I had no idea this was going to be burgundy before it turned up burgundy. There are tons of places online where you can find a color picker, tons of places where you can find, let's hang on. I'm just telling you instead of showing you. What a terrible teacher. Hex code color. Look at that. DuckDuckGo knows what I want. I want a hex code color picker. Look at that. He's got tons and tons of little web applications. Oh, look, here's people's favorite color. I don't like all these cookies. Here's a bunch of favorite colors. And we can go ahead and pick what kind. Oh, I want this toxic looking green. Oh, and I'll find that's 56 ED15. Some of y'all, if some of y'all do learn just hex codes and you can pick them out of your soul, good for you. I'm never going to do that. Here, we're going to wrap a frame around our canvas, and we're going to do that by drawing a box, a div, around our div. So we're going to make a parent div for our child. This is going to be super, and that's all it's asking us to. Oh, wait, it's not all it's asking us to do. Michael asks the important question here where it's like, look, y'all, why do we keep getting brown colors? And I think that's because Rothko is a specific type of art. Is Rothko the artist? R-O-T Hale? Rothko, I think, is a specific artist. Oh, Mr. Mark Rothko, who did colored field paintings. So big boxy boxes. And I believe that this color palette is going to feel, I'm going to push images live. Oh, yeah. And these are sort of the color palette. So earthy colors, lots of red. I think we're going to do some more art after this. And the art we'll do after this won't necessarily be so brown. I'm just bouncing around. Everything's fine. We've been asked to get another class here, so make a new club. And we're going to give it a frame. I'm going to check we got that green stripe. Everything's fine. All right, so now we're going to make some rules for the frame club. Frame class selector using the dot. I got my curly babies, and I'm going to say, hey, ooh, have we done borders at all yet? Ooh, do you know what? This is embarrassing, but I don't remember the syntax. Is it solid black 50 pixels? Okay, so I don't think the comma is involved. There we go. Everything's fine. Green horse, thank you so much, my love. I was like, that comma feels weird. And immediately you're right here to be like, babe, you don't need the comma. Nah. Oh, and my absolutely brilliant colleague Kinjal's just dropped this in saying, oh, do you know what? The colors palettes are quite fun if you want to pick out a whole host of palettes. Kinjal is always right behind the scenes, making me sound smarter than I should. All right, we've got that big black frame. Oh, we got that little white stripe. I don't feel like that white stripe is going to work, does it? Here it says the frame is much too wide, but I think it's fine. So in the frame, I'm going to set the width. We're just going to do this a little bit fast because we've done this a couple times before. Oh, cool. We saw that little tiny white stripe go away. That's fine. We got our green stripe. Everything's chill. Let's get some padding. Remember, padding is the space inside the element. And we're going to put padding inside the frame. Ooh, so that's going to give us space in between the frame and the canvas. Okay. Yeah. If we put 50 pixels, it's going to apply that equally to all of the sides. But I bet we can do some weird stuff with that later. So remember, padding is on the padding is on the inside. And if you don't remember all of these properties, it's fine. I forget them all the time. You can forget them as many times as you want to. Nose programmers like Jess, don't you remember when we did color marker? I'd be like, I don't at all. That was like last week. But there were borders involved in that, weren't there? Thank you so much, my love. Padding, let's go ahead and add 50 pixels. And that's going to be to all this. Oh, fabulous. And you say, Jess, why is it drawn a white box? And I say, well, what it's done, let's get some more space for this. Let's talk philosophy again. You say, oh, this is too much philosophy. I say, no, this is just enough philosophy. So what we can see is a white box between our canvas and our frame. But we haven't really drawn a white box. What we've said is, I want some space between the canvas and my frame. And what we can see is the parent element's color coming through. So imagine that we just pushed the frame out of the way. We can see sort of conceptually what's behind it. I think if we had, and of course you're not supposed to do this. Will this even work? Let me see my index.html. Do I have a body? Yeah, it told us to use HTML body. I set the body, I don't even know if this will work. If I set the body background color to pink, okay, this makes it a little more apparent that we're not making a white box. We're not making a white frame, but we are pushing the frame. We're giving it some more padding on the inside. So say push, push, push. And now I can see the pink from the body come through. Yeah. Green horse, you're absolutely right. It looked white because it's clear. Think of it as just space if that's not conceptually weird. And you say, Jess, this doesn't really feel right. And I say, no, it's CSS. Maybe it'll feel weird forever. But the world, okay, so we've done some let's do some margin as well, just to see how that is. Yeah. So we're going to do the frame. We're still inside the frame, the rules for our frame club. Use margin. I'm going to set a vertical margin. Oh, is that? Well, let's try. So 20 pixels first, and then auto. Hmm. And you're going to have to, I'm so sorry, you're going to have to do this on yours as well. Just because, well, let's take you away. Oh, and let's do this right. Oh, okay. Yep. So Michael's just out here looking out for me. Like, Jess, I know you forgot the syntax for it. Vertical means both up. I know thank you. and so Michael's gone ahead and given this, hey, so it's 20 pixel and then auto for the sides. Yeah. Green Horse makes a good point and say, well, why aren't we saying padding top, padding right? And we could specify each of these individually, but this is a shorthand to say, hey, when you set my margin, if I just give you two values, apply the first one to both the top and the bottom, and apply the second one to both of the sides. Whereas if I just gave one value, if I just said 20 pixels, let's just say 20 pixels, it'll go ahead and say, oh, I think you want 20 pixels on all sides. This is, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm picking on you, Green Horse, to be like, here's what, but that's such a good question. And I love a good question. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to check our code. And I know you can't see a satisfying amount of margin, and that's just because it's only a little bit. It'll feel much more. Yep, Green Horse has got another point to say, oh, if you wanted to set all of these differently, you could go ahead and I'm so sorry. It's clockwise, isn't it? Oh, and I'm reversed to make it worse. So top, yeah, right, left. Yeah, the same direction a clock goes. I think being reversed in the camera is not doing me any favors. I'm going to submit. Green Horse is like, I got you. It's the top. It's the right, which is my left. It's the bottom. And then left, which is my right. I quit. How about where am I? If you use all four of them, it goes top, right, bottom, left. And just memorize. So it is the same direction a clock goes in, but also it be kind of the Konami code as well, isn't it? Let's get some more boxes in here. Who does not love a div? Div said, give me another box. I want a class here equal to 1. Okay, that's chill. That's chill. I've got to close my box as well. Okay. And nothing is, oh, Jeff, look at you. I love this. Jeff gives us his trouble. Top, right, left, L? Top, right, bottom, left. I've got to go ahead and get some kind of editing thing where I'm not. Okay, so here's a really good question from Michael's. But hey, Jess, what does auto mean again? And I love how you've got the answer in here. Say, oh, does auto mean just center it if you can? And that's sort of the general thing to say, hey, auto calculate these margins for me. You say, cool. I'm going to try and center these if I can for you. Very chill. Ramon, some of you may know Ramon from the JavaScript course. And if y'all are joining us live, help me bully Ramon. Make him log off and go relax. Ramon points out that the Konami code might be a little dated, that maybe y'all youngins haven't heard of it. It was back in the day. Thank you very much. We've got our empty box. We can keep going. Everything's fine. We're going to set some rules. We made a 1 club. Let's set some rules there. And I want to go ahead and get some width in here. And remember, we're setting this one to pixels, 425, which is an absolute. A pixel's always a pixel's always a pixel. And we've got our green stripe. Everything continues to be chill. Let's get some high. And this is going to feel a little repetitive. You've done this. If it feels, oh, cool, I've done this. Why am I doing it again? Oh, let's talk about muscle memory as well. So part of doing this again and again is if you don't understand it yet, eventually you'll get this magical. Oh, it just makes sense. It just clicks. But even if you remember it, getting used to doing it again and again helps you build this muscle memory. I mean, helps you build this muscle memory. I promise I will never, ever get to the point where I don't have to look at my keyboard and mutter darkly. Background color, and we're going to set this to, and again, if you don't know what the hash code's going to result in, it's not a problem. This is EF. I have no idea what EFB762 is going to look like. Oh, and it's a faded carrot, a robust cowboy. We have sort of a tan orange deal. Yeah. Oh, and people are being nice to Ramon in the comments. Who doesn't love Ramon? If so, those of you who aren't taking the JavaScript course, don't worry about it. I actually don't recommend taking both courses at the same time. It's a lot of work. And if you've just heard of this bootcamp right now, you're welcome to join us. The videos are always available on the Class Central video YouTube, but there's no need to hurry, and there's no need to try and do. We won't stop you from doing both at the same time. It's okay. But Ramon and I'm going to speak for you. We're going to keep running free boot camps. We're not going to go away. Oof, it's a big promise in 2022 where the world's so scary. But as long as we are able to do things, we're going to keep running free. And really, it's Class Central and Free Code Camp that let us do this. Let's go ahead and, hey, we're going to use the shorthand margin. And the shorthand margin means we're not going to spell out margin top, margin. We're just going to say margin. Just. I'm saying just like it's easy. Say margin. And what we did last time was say, okay, this first value we add is going to be the top and bottom. Okay. And we just set that to, we're going to set the horizontal to all. Oh, and this one felt a lot more satisfying because we had that very good question from Michael a minute ago saying, what does this auto do? Does it just center it? Because you were right. Where am I? But we're going to take away this auto. We're going to put it back. I promise nothing's wrong. And we see that when we add the auto, it boom, tries to center it. And that feels really chill. Check our code. Everything continues to be fine. Yeah. So we're going to add a padding. Okay, padding. Now that one is centered at horizontally, but the top margin, and do you know what? If you, I'm gonna zoom in so very, very tight. You can barely, I can barely see it as old lady eyes, but there's just, it's hanging over just the tiniest bit. Our little relaxed cowboy box is hanging over our burgundy box by like the tiniest amount. We're going to zoom back out just a bit, just enough to give us something to work with. Oh, too big, too small, too big. And we're going to give it a padding of 1, just to push it. So padding, that's the space inside it. We're chill with that. We're going to add 1 pixel of padding. Oh, cool. 1 pixel actually feels kind of like a lot. So we've got a little bit of space. We've got a little, our cowboy orange box can breathe. Yeah. We're going to check our code and everything continues to be fine. And do you know what? Even if it wasn't fine, that would be fine. So adding 1 pixel of padding, like we did right here, added a pixel at the top and the bottom and the left and the right. I'm trying to reverse this. And it changed the dimensions. We're going to replace the padding property with an overflow set to hidden. Okay, so when we added this 1 pixel, and anybody who's done anything with CSS will tell you this happens all the time. It's not because you're new, it's not because you're doing it wrong, but sometimes you'll change a little thing and everything else will break. We don't want everything else to break. We just want our stuff to break. So we added a padding, and that gave us, so why did it add so much more than 1 pixel is the good question. And it really didn't add so much more than 1 pixel because our whole canvas, look right here, is 500 pixels and 600 pixels. I think when we added 1 space of padding, I think, well, why did it? Oh, so it pushed our brown off and it pushed our orange off. So we got, why is it 2 pixels instead of 1 pixel? Why is it 2 pixels instead of 1 pixel? Why is it 2 pixels instead of 1? Where's my help? I think there's default padding as well, or it's added padding. Okay, no, no, no. We're going to get to the bottom of this. What step are you? Step 22, free code camp, Rothko. Why added 2 pixels instead of 1? Oh, it does. You know what? Can we? DevTools and back. Yeah. So so Jeff is asking, where do I see 2 pixels? It says it's changed our dimensions of the whole canvas to 602. Oh, I'm a goofus. It's done that because we've added 1 pixel on each side. So that's 2 pixels on the side and 2 pixels on the top and bottom. Y'all, I am standing before you and just forgot how physics work in the most fundamental way possible. Let's go ahead and edit this and pretend that never. Let's go ahead and leave this and enjoy being goofy. So we're going to get rid of that padding. Okay. And some of you were saying, hey, DevTools inspect. We're gonna talk about DevTools at some point, maybe with a guest. Oh, speaking of guests, wait, we want the overflow property, which I don't think we've seen yet. We're going to set that to hidden. Okay, chill. That's chill. Yeah, that did the same thing. Well, I mean, it resulted in the same visual effect. It didn't do the same thing, did it? And I think that's what's so hard for me about CSS is you can get the same visual effect by doing like a bunch of different things. Isn't that cruel? Isn't that unnecessary? Where am I? We want a class. We want a class of 2. That makes some sense. We've got a 1 and a 2. We've got our green stripe, which means we can bop on. Let's go ahead and make a CSS class selector that lets us, let's, hang on. While I do this, width to 475 pixels. Let's talk about our guests because we've got, what am I doing? Green stripe. We can keep going. We've got actually one of my dear friends joining us tomorrow. Let's set our height to 200 pixels. And that's Stuart Langridge. And last year, Stuart came and gave us a guest talk about not needing to worry too much about adding JavaScript to everything. And we've got a video of that talk if you want to see it. But he's giving us a different talk this time. And it's not really a talk, it's a question and answer. It's really, I want you all to talk. A background, color. But we had so many learners come and ask us, hey, do I need to do side projects? How do I get started with a side project? How do I know what to make? And I had so many folks asking me about, so the background color we've added to this gave us sort of a very Rothko red, but it's sort of if that orange box that we added for element number 1, element class 1, was a faded out orange cowboy. This is sort of a faded out. Maybe a glass of red wine. But we also had so many folks come and ask us about games, and Stuart's going to come and talk to us and answer questions about a side project he made, which is a browser game. So self-contained. It's a big project, but it's not the biggest one in the world. We're going to set our margin for the 2 element to auto, and that's just going to center it within all the space it has available to it. I think a weird thing might happen here, but we love a weird thing, right? We know that even when unexpected stuff happens, CSS can't hurt us. Let's go ahead and leave you here. That sounds like I'm abandoning you, but we can see that a bit better. And we see that, boop, within the space we have available, we've gone ahead and centered that, and that feels chill. Our margins have, auto-corrected. And this is going to give me a holler when this feels repetitive. We're going to make another box. Give our class, unsurprisingly, unshockingly, is going to be 3. We can do that. That's chill. And remember, we're not going to go too much further because this feels like I'm doing all of your art for you, and that's cheating. So let's just do a couple more steps together. But if you all have any questions, go ahead and start dropping them in the chat. If I'm ever referencing, oh, I see so and so said this or so and so said this, it's just because we've got folks over on YouTube, which is super chill, and we've got folks over on Twitch, which is super chill. So I'm just talking to woof, a dazzling array of you from all over the world, and it's just a little bit of a lot sometimes. So go ahead and start dropping some questions in about CSS, and I'll get some help answering them, or about any kind of web development or weird art. So this is going to be our third rectangle. We've made an empty box called 3. All right. We don't always, and we knew this. Step 29 says, hey, babe, because it's our friend. It's very casual with us. Hey, babe, you don't always have to use pixels when sizing an element. Let's use oh gosh, what do we call the responsive units? Are they, so absolute and heck. See it, come back here. MDN CSS units. Relative. I was going to look this up, and Cassium is right here being like, Jess, you know they're called absolute and relative. What a goofy thing to forget. Y'all are so gentle. And Greenhouse as well be like, it's y'all are so gentle, correct? All y'all are just jumping in real soft, be like, Jess, I think it's relative. When you get to be my age, you just forget everything. I'm not even old enough. And platypus, I don't have favorite students, and platypus doesn't count as a student anyway. Like you just come to be helpful and lovely. You already know all this stuff way more than I should. Someday I'm going to bully you to teach this class instead of me. Platypus says there's 3 ways to do things with CSS. And I'd say this applies much more widely to all programming. So you could do things the correct way. Yes, best practices, doing it the way it should be. Yeah, excellent. You do things the acceptable way to be like, this is weird, but it works. So chill. Or you can do things incredibly wrong, but with style creatively. I think that's marvelous. Isn't that exciting? Where am I? Let's go ahead and set our width here to a relative unit, and that's a percentage. And we're going to set it to 91% of the available space, of the space within the parent. Why have so 91%. Oh, hang on. I skipped right to the rules and did not specify what club these rules were going to go in. So this is for the 3 class, our dot and our 3 and our swirly babies. And now I can set our width to 91%. Now everything's fine. Okay. I think our code passes this time. Let's do just one more of these, and then we'll go ahead and answer y'all's questions. Yeah, everything's fine and everything's going to be fine. Let's go ahead and set its height to 28%. That's very specific. And that's going to set it to 20% of the available space. All right, it must be 28 of the available space. Let's take a look at some of these questions because I got a really specific question from the encoder saying, how can I use CSS to make a paragraph wrap close to a picture when the previous paragraph has a straight border away from the, oh no, there's a super specific, very technical way to do this that's built into CSS, which I do not remember what to do and really do not remember what it's called. But how do you use CSS to make a paragraph wrap close to a picture when the other one, let's go ahead and, yeah. So I think, oh, this is going to be hard to do, isn't it? I think, yeah, well, let's just write it out here. Actually, you know what? Nobody's keeping us from doing what we want to do, but this would, I'm going to start keeping a code pen open for question and answer. So I think I'd probably go ahead and make a different ID or a different class for the two separate paragraphs, and then go ahead and set where the location is from there. Jeff is well ahead of me, but I wanted to specify, cool, you're going to have two paragraphs, so you can't use a type selector. You can't say, here's my rules for paragraph. And to be honest, if you're going to use this style a lot and say, hey, many of these are going to sit right next to a picture, I might make a class like picture friends or next picture. But Jeff makes no, don't you don't never apologize for giving me a difficult question. This is just a difficult question to sort of conceptually answer without a code pen in front of me. And that's more of a reason for me to always have a code pen in front. And code pen's not the only people who do this. They're just oh yeah, hang on. Let's get through this answer, and then I'm going to talk to you about where we write code because I think that's super important. And Jeff makes a really good point to be like, float. The ones you want close to the paragraph or further away, you can float them left or right or top or bottom. That's a really lovely, I think, elegant solution for moving stuff around. You could do margins, but that feels kind of weird. Oh, and is that even good with text? I'd float them. You're absolutely right. So, can we talk about a hard philosophical thing? Oh, the me who is not me, who is Kinjal, saying, "Hey, you could nest them together in a Flexbox, Flexbox." And Dahlia is also out here as well. I'll be like, Flexbox is a thing. We're gonna learn about Flexbox later. It's cool. And if y'all think I'm bad at CSS, I am bad at Flexbox in a very relaxed way. Yeah. So let's talk about where we write code, because this is a problem with abstraction again. So remember, abstraction is when complicated things get hidden from you. Here, we've got a lot of stuff abstracted from us because we're learning. And learning is hard enough without having to take everything into account. So Free Code Camp is an absolute dude about this. And they say, hey, we're gonna only show you what you need to change at a time. And then we're going to give you instructions only for that space. You can look around, you can see the rest of it, but we're going to abstract your attention down to just this. And there's a bunch of different places to write code on the web. Really, when we're writing this code, what we're writing is a text file. You say, really? I say, really, really, really. Because remember, I'm going to get rid of the preview because this is not about what we're making anymore. This is about the philosophy. When we're developing for the web, what we're doing is we're building things made out of light. We're building experiences for our users. And the way we're doing that is we're using language. I like to call it it's like we're building a poem out of words and light, and it turns into an experience. Isn't that wild? But that means here we're writing and seeing all of our text for our text files, which make up our code, here in the browser. But that's not always where we write it. We saw up here, oh heck, here's somebody using a different browser-based, and that means it lives inside your web browser. Oh, this is a good time to ask this question. What web browsers are people using? So here we've got a code pen, and Braden has written HTML and CSS in the browser. Again, Braden's writing their text that makes up their text files in here. There's a lot of different browser-based tools, and you might use Chrome or Firefox or Brave or, oh, what's the new browser that starts with an A? Is it some people are using? Oh gosh, that Flexbox link didn't work. That's okay. We'll go and get it fixed in a second. But this is also a browser-based. Oh, somebody's using Edge. Nice. So we've got a Firefox user, an Edge user, a Safari user. Safari's so much of the web, and for me to forget that, that's just inappropriate. I'm so sorry. We've got Chrome users in here, and we'll talk about web standards later, I promise. But because people who make the rules for what we put on the web mostly agree, between browsers, you should have a pretty good experience that feels mostly the same, no matter which browser you're on. That's sort of the idea behind web standards, which we'll talk about later. It'll be chill. But these are all, so Replit is an example, or here in CodePen, or here in Free Code Camp where you've been living. These are browser-based text editors. But when you're writing code for your job or your hobby, you're not always going to want to be in your browser. Oftentimes, there's programs, standalone programs, which are very special, very specific text editors for code. I'm so sorry, Ramon. Are you still here? If he's not, I'm gonna sucker him into something. One thing we did last time for the boot camp is we took an extra session. We found some extra time, and we did some very slow, very laid back programming outside of these browser based tools. And we showed Visual Studio Code, which is a really common text editor that's out of the browser, just to sort of see, just to preview what that more complicated flow is. So, just to preview it for you, if you see people talk about um, Sublime, or if you see people talk about boop, 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 VS Code, they're talking about a text editor. They're talking about a different place to write text that isn't in their browser. So just another coding environment is a word you'll hear about this. Green Horse points out, don't forget Atom. Is Atom still supported? I thought so. Atom's another text editor for code. And some text editors are better for different programming languages, but that's some of the complexity that Free Code Camp is trying to free us from. Yeah. Oh, cool. I'm going to, that's a lot of extra stuff, isn't it? Where I say, hey, right now we're writing our code in a browser based text editor. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Later on, and in different environments, you might not be writing in the browser. You might be writing in a different program, but we don't have to worry about that. Not yet. It's there's going to be more stuff. And if you hear about complicated stuff, please, please, please come and ask me and we'll figure it out together. Now, let's talk homework. If it's not a bother, if you can, go ahead and try and finish up this session before we get together. And when I say get together, I mean Monday. But if you can finish all of this today, to come all the way up. Don't forget that yesterday we started out one of our first certification projects. I didn't expect you to finish it yesterday. I saw somebody did finish theirs yesterday. That was so fast. But if you can, go ahead and finish this Rothko painting. And that way, over the weekend, Thursday, Friday, you can spend some more time on your certification project. Yeah. Kelly's be like, you know what? I really miss Kelly's saying, I really miss my Linux computer that I broke. Did you like break the computer? Because that's impressive. I didn't mean to make you feel bad. I was like, that is genuine. Someday we oh, hang on. Someday I will talk to you about the terrible, terrible things I've done to computers in my day. And not just computers, but production environments. So the projects that are live that you're not supposed to be able to break. You still break them if you try real hard. And the big thing is, if stuff breaks, it sucks, but it's survivable in it. So, your homework is please, please, please go ahead and try and finish that up. Go ahead and spend a little bit more time working on your certification project just before Monday. There's no kind of hurry. And you absolutely already know what your most important homework is. Please try and spend a little bit of time each day resting. Y'all do so much work for this boot camp. Take some time. Everything's stressful. The world is stressful. And this is not a big deal. This is just CSS. It can't hurt you. Well, I mean, it can't hurt you here. Yeah. The schedule says there's 2 lessons for today's homework. Is that true? Let me check the schedule. Let me check my schedule. Let me check my brain. Class Central. Y'all are so patient. Oh gosh, what? Oh no. Yeah, are we also doing the Flexbox one today? Oh gosh, should I have been taking you through both of these today? Am I rubbish? Ooh, ooh. I might be a terrible teacher. I'm checking. Good news. I'm a terrible teacher. So learn typography by building a nutrition label. Okay, we were supposed to do the Flexbox one today. And Flexbox is pretty hard. We'll do some more Flexbox later. Hmm. How about we'll end for today? How about I go ahead and add an optional, completely optional session either Friday or Saturday, and we'll take a look at Flexbox together as well, okay? And we'll do it as a separate video. You don't have to join. I absolutely know that Kinjal's like, no, don't ruin my Friday. I will not ruin your Friday. I can moderate this on myself. It'll be all right. But okay, I'll have a look. And I'm so sorry. What a terrible teacher to not check that. Because Flexbox is a little bit more complicated. Let's go ahead and I'll add an extra bonus session to look at Flexbox a bit together. And we'll go ahead and check that out together. Sorry about that. I am joyously, immovably goofy about doing a little chunk at a time. I'll let y'all go. We'll talk about this. And remember, if you need help and it's not a live stream on, you can come to the Discord. Yeah. You can come to the forum, or you can search the web for your answer, or experiment and get weird. I'll let y'all go.